to know really how to read at the highest level, because we don't literally understand what reading is. What we've been taught, the definition of reading, actually isn't truly what reading really is. A lot of times people don't understand when you have a very high vocabulary in something, you can create a lot of money, you can create a lot of success. And what Kyler was reading earlier, disenfranchised, it did say not having the ability to vote. But if you really look at what they were really saying, is that you don't have power. And who doesn't have the ability to vote are the slaves. So the people who have the political power, the people who are making the laws, the people who are in the places that are affecting your everyday life on every level, the people who even created the job system that you wake up on Monday and you hate your life, the ones that created the money system, those were people just like us. But the difference is their ability to process information and apply it is at a very high level. There's people who control this planet. There's elites, there's family groups that you don't even know the names of, but let's say you did, you wouldn't even be able to handle the jobs that they have. I know we like to blame the elite, but just think about the power of being able to process information so high that you can control a population of how many people? 8 billion, 10 billion?
I don't know the number.
Let's say
8 billion.
But think about that ability to understand reality.
That sounds like an intro
That
you
was
would
the
pick.
day.
Okay.
My daddy died.
You two may know where I'm leading to here, but I want to see. If you know what I'm talking about, don't say it. Just answer it yourself.
Okay.
What is the dumbest thing that you laughed at that you felt like you shouldn't have laughed at?
And we're supposed to know this.
No, not what I'm going to say.
Oh, what
Actually,
we
maybe
were-
you don't know. Okay. What? Just answer the question. Anybody can go. What is the dumbest thing that you've laughed at that you thought you shouldn't have laughed at?
Who's going first? Doesn't matter.
I don't. It doesn't matter.
Whoever gets
People getting hurt.
people getting hurt for 1,000.
Like, what? So I was getting a pedicure, and they had America's Funniest Videos playing with the host.
Wayne Brady.
No,
Oh.
it was Alfonso Rivera.
Oh yeah, way back.
Is that Alfred? I mean,
No, that's
Carlton.
Carlton, yes,
Yeah.
that's Carlton.
Sorry, bro.
So what I realized was all of the videos were people getting hurt. Those were the America's Funniest, like people falling and almost breaking their necks and stuff, and everybody was just cracking up. And then maybe, I was like, man, that's messed up. Like that's what people think is funny. That's what America think is funny when folks. So I would say that because I'm sure that I've laughed at somebody busting their behind before, but you laugh first and you're like, oh, are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, but
Is there gum
can
disposal?
you not? How do you not laugh if your friend falls?
It's so easy. You just don't.
Do you want to?
Yeah.
I laugh.
I don't really find.
You just wait till you're not around him no more, I guess.
Do you want one?
No, I do not. Thank you. I fail at work.
Who was that?
Not me.
That's him.
I'm scared.
I fell at work, and my ESL aide, he helped me and everything, and then
Just like,
and then he sat down. He was like, once he knew that I was okay, he was like, Westbrook, you fell in slow motion, and he just starts laughing. He was like, well, you fell because I kind of like caught myself and I fell slow. But he was like, man, I've been holding it in. I'm so sorry. And everybody in the office thought he was like being really rude by laughing at me. But I thought I was like, I kind of was okay with it. Because he's a lot younger. But he was like, you good? You okay? He made sure I was okay first. He's like, you okay? Okay, man, you fell in slow motion. I had to go back and look at the cameras because I was on camera. But I've been laughed at when I fell.
The ignorance of me when she said ESL, I went ASL in my mind, like American Sign Language. I'm like, that don't make sense because that's an A and it's an E. Then I went YSL, and I'm like,
What is YSL?
Young Thug and them group that got I was on trial, and I was like, oh, English second language.
I immediately thought of school.
Yeah, that's because that's where I work.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I can't stand dad jokes. However,
Hey, I got one for you.
the one that I laugh at every single time.
Wait. I got one for you.
I was going to say it.
Why
Say
did the
it.
chicken cross the road?
That's not a dad joke, is it?
Because
You laughed at that one.
it's so good.
That's the one?
No, I have
Oh
a better.
my God,
no,
that's the exact one?
That's terrible. I have a better
It's
one.
so good.
I have a better.
Especially when you
chicken.
cut somebody off when they're about to answer. It's great.
Why did the chicken cross the road in a suit?
Why?
Because he was going to churches.
I don't get it.
Church's
Church's
chicken.
Why do you need to go to church's chicken in a suit?
Church.
Because it's church.
Dumb. Nope.
Dumb. No.
You didn't go
Everybody
to church?
goes to church in a suit.
Not in a
He's
suit.
white.
No.
Yeah.
We.
Black people go to church in a suit.
He's white.
I believe you. I've seen it. Yeah.
He's Caucasian.
You guys go crazy out here with
He
the hats.
just said
I don't know
you
what it is about
guys.
the hats.
Go crazy out here.
You
This
got the
black man,
hat out here for the little feather.
miseducation of a Negro.
Yes. It's a book. You need to read it. It's probably in this library. We're going to have to get that for you. We're going to have to get that for you. Also, like racist jokes.
I love
It's a,
those.
lot, it's a whole lot of those out there that
I
people
like
laugh
racist
at.
They're not even racist jokes. They're just true jokes about people's races.
That's why it's funny, because it actually has some truth to it. Because you've seen it. That's why it's funny. You know, I want to share what mine was. I have a lot of them, but I can't remember them right now. But the first one that came, I had to really think, was a South Park episode where the guy was like, Timmy! And he was taking steroids. Timmy was taking steroids, and he started beating his girlfriend.
You should not be laughing at
He had,
Lord.
he had crutches,
He has stills.
like the stilts. And he started whooping her with the stilts.
Somebody getting hurt.
The part that was making me laugh was him whooping her. It was everything before. I was already laughing because he was going around saying Timmy. So I could not stop laughing at him saying Timmy. And everybody, when we went to school, that episode went on that night, and you know, all your friends came and we talked about.
Yep.
Because like we watched the same thing that night, and everybody came up and was like Timmy. So we just kept saying Timmy for I don't know how long, and it's just retarded. Like,
Yeah.
What's crazy about it, Timmy, before the steroids, he's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So then progressively he started taking the roids, now he can walk off.
but to him, it was just random events. Like it didn't make any sense that him hitting her.
South Park has some great episodes.
That
I
was
want to
stupid.
talk about the narrative of Frederick Douglass.
Oh, we're gonna make a switch. Okay, go take it.
All right, cool. So, I recently read the narrative of Frederick Douglass. And for those who do not know who Frederick Douglass is, please Google him. And for those, our international listeners, Zion, I'm talking to you. Like, he's the black guy with the afro, with the split, with the gray split in the middle. But definitely look up his name. So anyway, what I was reading it, and this book, I want to say, don't quote me, but I want to say it was produced in the 1800s. And he was speaking about, like, pretty much, he was giving his life story, but what was, like, really significant to me is when he realized why he need to learn how to read. And he was going from plantation to plantation. And so he eventually got to Baltimore. And what was also an interesting phrasing, he said he realized at that age of, he was about 7 or 8 years old, he realized that even the slavery system, the system of slavery even enslaves the master. And so he came to that conclusion because on that plantation, the wife, she wasn't born into the slavery system, like meaning like the slave master, the male, he came in generations of that system of being a slave owner. But the woman, she was a businesswoman. So she was selling like clothing and cotton, wool, not cotton, but she was like wool, silk, different clothing, but not cottons. And so she was she grew a liking or affinity to Frederick Douglass. So she was teaching him his ABCs and 3-letter words, 2-letter words. And when her husband found out, he reprimanded her and was like, "You can't teach that Negro how to read because you actually cause him more strife if he learns how to read." And he said, "Then you make this Negro uncontrollable and you can't control this Negro. And if you can't control this Negro, now he has a harder life. So actually you teach him how to read makes it worse from him."
What's your thoughts, guys, on that?
I don't. Why would it make it worse?
Okay, so
He's basically saying he'll have too much knowledge and
Can't do anything with it, basically.
right, it'll really make it worse for them because if with knowledge you know your rights, like he's basically. I feel like he was basically saying he's gonna know too much and it's gonna make it harder for us to control him because reading is just opens up your mind, and if we can't control him, then his life is gonna be very hard.
We're going to make it hard, basically.
Yeah,
On him.
So he knows more, which means we gotta
Beat him more.
basically, like everything.
because he's gonna challenge things and ask questions and
not just follow along. Plus, he would know the prison that he's in at a totally different level. So then it actually, mentally it'd be way worse too.
So, to continue further continuation of that, so where he was saying that even the slavery system enslaves the slave master because now the wife is trying to prove herself that she's the ultimate abuser or she's the ultimate slave master. So she started abusing Frederick Douglass worse than the husband was, who was actually born into the system, because she had something to prove. So, then before it got to that point, though, I'm gonna say that was like the third time where she really switched. But the second time, when he said, "You don't need to teach this Negro how to read," how it pretty much caused him strife, and he sat there and thought about it. He was like, he's reprimanding her for teaching me how to read. There has to be something here. Learning how to read is the key to my freedom. And he was able to put that together. And what was so interesting is that in the book, he spoke about how a third grade level of being able to read at a third grade level would get you a house. They was able to have like successes in that, like, per system. You got a house, you got a family, you can take care of your family. You're like, pretty much you would be equivalent to like middle class, lower upper class.
Back then
with a third grade education. So when I was reading a book, I got frustrated and I got angry because the average reading level of American adult is the third grade level. And the thing is, that's not even taking in consideration that we have artificial intelligence. And so back then, that third grade level got you all these amenities that right now, that same level will actually, you're a slave. But due to society, how the slave system upgraded, it never changed. It just upgraded and it changed its clothes. It doesn't look like we're in a system of slavery. But the thing is, they learned because they had to advance it, was like, we have to convince them that they're making a choice. So they pay us. And you really pretty much your life is for this paper. And your decisions, what time you wake up, what time you go to sleep, what school do your children go to, what kind of education, which impacts the rest of their life, is based off this paper dollar. So in summation, right now, having a third grade reading level actually push you equivalent to the time of Frederick Douglass, which was success back then. Now you were a slave. Mm-hmm. You were a slave to the system, to the dollar.
So then with Kirsten, with everything that you've been learning over the past, what, you guys have been in the group like 2-3 years? How long has it been?
You did my presentation.
Yeah. So yeah, Bob.
So the boys were in it first.
Yeah.
I know Kanoom started with the DIP. Started doing that, and I think I was doing a little bit of that too before I had my presentation. The Destiny. I think it's been like 3-4 years.
About 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
3 years? Okay. So everything that you've learned over the past 3 years with the previous knowledge of what you did and what you still currently do in education versus what you've been learning over the past, 3 years with education and where it actually came from and what's going on there. Has your perspective or view changed when you go to school and see how things work currently? And has it shifted any way that you do certain things, talk to people, like anything like that?
I don't know if it's weird because a lot of things happen around that same time. So it's almost like if you change your diet and you're on medications and you're on supplements and you start getting better, you don't know which thing made you better. Was it the diet change? Was it the medication? Was it the supplements? If you started it all at the same time. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be hard for me to answer that if it was based on that, or that's also that's around the same time that I became an administrator. Mm-hmm. That was like a lot of things were happening at that time where my perspective on education changed, because going from the classroom to being an academic coach to being an administrator, you see things from a whole nother level. So from an administrative standpoint, you see the big picture, like the home life, that a lot of these kids now being raised by grandma, grandpa. I've heard her say there's no more aunties and uncles like really in the mix anymore. Like the way I grew up and the way like the village raises the child, that was a real thing when I was growing up, and people don't really know what that is anymore.
Not in America, at least.
No. So yes, my perspective, what I see and what I recognize is very different, and unfortunately it's getting worse every year. One of the reasons I got out of the classroom, because I'm like, the kids are, this is a terrible phrase, but I was like, they're getting dumber. Mm-hmm. Like my kids last year at this level were smarter. Like they don't know where they live, they don't know their addresses. Whoa. Like
how old are these kids?
They were like, this was 8th grade.
They didn't know their address.
No. This is how I found out. I was given the PSAT, and they had to do you have to fill in your address, phone number, the bubble. You got to bubble it in.
Isn't it like the first thing that you fill out?
I was giving the instructions, and half the class raised their hand. I was like, what's going on? Can I get my phone out and pull up my address? I don't know my address. Or Can I call my mom? And I'm like, y'all in the 8th grade, you don't know where you live? Like, what is going on? I said, what if you lose your phone? What if you don't have your phone? I know I live behind the Valero. I was like, what? Like, I just don't know the street names and this and that. And it made me think right too, there was an abduction that happened when that was really, really big, and it was a TV thing. And the name of the movie was I Know My Name is Steven. And the boy was 7 years old when he was abducted. And there were times where the guy who took him gave him the freedom, like he was at a payphone and did not know his phone number. And like after this happened, like when he turned 18, he walked into the police station and said, I know my name is Steven, and the person I've been living with for the last 10 years is not my real father. And they looked him up and they found his family. But after that, they started making it, they started making kids learn about their address, their city, their state and stuff more so in school. But before that, and that's the first thing that came to my mind, like y'all are like this 7-year-old, like if you get abducted, the human trafficking is real, especially Houston is the biggest area in the whole country for human trafficking.
I did not know that.
Yes. We have the highest numbers.
That's why that's a part of the reason why they closed that Greyhound station.
I didn't even know they closed the Greyhound station.
Yeah, because that was a high area for human trafficking.
Yep. So I was blown away. I'm like, wow, they did not know. So that's the kind of stuff that's been happening where you are talking to these teenagers, talking to the little kids, and because I've been working with the littles all the way up to the teenagers, they don't know anything. If they can't, they just use this. Mm-hmm. They ask Siri or Alexa all the information, and they cannot really think for themselves, and they do not have the memory. Like, they don't remember things, and it's just been the education has not gotten what it needs.
Which I can kind of understand the part of the kids being at the point where, like, I don't know my own address, because even like me moving to Houston, what is it now? I want to say 5 years ago, maybe 6. I used Google Maps for everything, and I still do. So it's like, it's not because, like, I don't want to, I get what you're saying. Like, I don't want to blame the kids though, because I understand that's all that they have to, that's all they've seen. Like, this is how I get around. This is how everybody gets around. So why would I do it differently? I got here, and that's how I learned to get around. However, when I was in Oregon, you could walk everywhere, but I also grew up there. So I could, when I was a kid, since I walked everywhere, you had to know the streets. You had to know where your house was. You had to know, because sometimes curfew comes and somebody pulls you over and what are you doing out here? You got to know where the heck you're going back to and tell them. Otherwise, you're not going back home. Or you're going home with somebody else that you can somehow figure out what their number was, or somebody else that lives nearby. So it sucks that's the point that they're at, but I understand why they're there. And even LaTanya's gotten on me about this too, because she does the same thing. She used to walk everywhere in Canada. The area she grew up in, she walked everywhere, and she knew all the streets. She still does it here. She knows more about this place than I do, and she's been here less time than I have. So that skill she's got it down. She wants to pay attention. I have completely given up that. What would you even call that? That
responsibility.
Yeah, I've completely given that up, because I don't see the need to do it myself and learn the streets, because I'm thinking it's always going to be there. But saying that out loud, of course, things can happen. It's not always going to be there.
That's
exactly. And I do need to know that.
Yeah.
That's exactly why this, so what you were saying, Kirsten, is like the parents, let's say I'm at home, I don't have to take on any responsibility. Like, I could just be like a little robot, you know? I don't have to, my parents don't impose any responsibility, because it's the school's responsibility to be my parent and to teach me. As a parent, all I need to do is just feed you and give you clothes, give you gifts, you know, and make sure you go to that school institution to where they're supposed to be your parent. Because someone's going to be parenting the kid. If I'm not physically there, who's my parent for that 8 hours that I'm gone? Mm-hmm. Whoever I'm around, right? And as any teacher or anybody, if you go to school, no one's going to care as much about your kid as you do. There's no way. It's like they're not genetically from you. I don't care if you say you love kids. You are not going to care as much about another person's child unless it's your child that came from your genetics. You held that child for 9 months. You created a bond. That is what being a parent is. One of the parts is you feel that feeling when that kid comes out. You just can't take that back, right? And it's like, you know, naturally you're going to be there for that kid. But when you give your child over, because I understand parents that say I have to go to work, I have things I have to do. The system we live in, the money system, it doesn't allow me to be with my kids full time. And that's another issue. We have the money system, which we have to basically change. But look at this, because we've advocated the responsibility of knowing how to create money. And a lot of people will say, well, I never got taught to create money, so now I'm stuck in this job. Then you have the consequence of that. I have to give my kids over to the state. And that consequence of giving your kids over to the state comes with a lot of consequences you can't even fathom right now.
Tons. You
had a kid with the dreams of being a parent, maybe you accidentally had a kid. But regardless, when that kid came, let's say if you're one of those people watching, you're like, I really care about my child. really think about the implications of what they just explained. Because that child is being parented by someone, but you're not there to direct how that child is being parented, that kid is learning no responsibility. They're not learning how to be an adult. And those are just small, trivial examples of the issues they're going to have that are massive later when they become an adult. They don't even know basic things that if you grew up in the 90s, you like, I knew how to do that. But it's not about the walking around. It's really about, wow, you can't critically think. You can't use your mind. And let's say you get used to using technology to do things that you used to do before. That's just old school, like what the new age kids would call brain rot. That's what AI is going to do. Just like the abdicating. And abdicating means that I'm going to let something else help me to the point where I become helpless. Kyler. So then once you become helpless, that's when we start getting dumb. Because one, if I don't know how to get somewhere, but that, you get neuroplasticity when you train a skill. So neuroplasticity. So when you become, learning new things, you grow new neurons, new pathways to help you basically do that thing again. So those kids don't have that. So now what's the implications of them not having that when they get older? They can't even figure out where they live. They can't think for themselves without the Google Maps. They can't think for themselves without some AI robot. So now when the government implements systems to say, hey, let's give you a social credit, let's control you, I would be okay with that because I'm used to I don't know what to do without this.
When you were saying that, I was actually thinking about I just did it again. Avery told me this, I think it came from Avery. It's like when you get into a new city and there's just so much going on that all you can really pay attention to is really just like where you're going in the moment. Versus when you stay there for like a couple weeks and now you're there for a couple months and then a couple years, like each unit of time you end up seeing new and different things differently than from when you first got there.
Yeah.
But however, now this is changing it to where you're staying in that point of just getting there for the very first time and you're never getting used to anything around you.
And that's called, it's like, if we take it back to the kid thing, if I'm never growing in an area, that's called immaturity. So I never grow up, basically. So now we have a system that's in all these little ways that accumulate because they seem small. Like, oh, my kid doesn't know where they live. Like, that's not a big deal. Oh, my kid uses the GPS for everything. That's not a big deal. But if you look at it from an overarching view of all those little points that accumulate of not taking responsibility, not knowing how to be basically self-directed, not knowing how to lead yourself, not knowing how to be an adult, that means that I can stifle your growth and I can create systems that make you not feel like I'm doing it in one day, but over time, basically I'm stunting your growth. I'm making you infantile. So basically you're an adult, but inside you know how to do the same things as like a 7-year-old. Mm-hmm. But I do it little by little to you to where you don't feel like you're actually not growing up. So I don't just force you to go through a system that, does it in one day. That's why you have 12 years of school. You have 12 years of school because I'm little by little chipping away at your ability to express yourself. I'm little by little chipping away at your ability to lead yourself. I'm little by little taking away your want or love for learning. I'm little by little taking away your, hey, what is responsibility? Oh, I just get told what to do. That's how you be an adult. They're going to tell you how to be an adult because they're telling me what to do now. And I'm little by little just taking all those pieces away from you to where you get older and you feel like, I don't know who I am. And you don't know where that came from.
When I saw that the GPS and all of that thing, I saw that as an issue, as a problem. So before my kids could drive, when they would be in the back seat, I made them pay attention. Because I remember when I first learned how to drive, being a new driver and being lost. Because there was we had MapQuest where you could print out directions from the computer.
Yep.
I remember that.
But other than that,
go to the gas station, ask somebody.
It was no cell phone. Yep. You had an actual map of the city that you had to be able to read. So
you had to be able to read?
You had to be able to read. That's right. You had to be able to, the little stuff on the side.
You had to read.
I remember I was mostly frustrated, and had anxiety when I was a new driver and I was lost. I would have to pull over, call my mother and brother. I used to call them the human MapQuest because they knew the city of Houston so well that they could. I was like, Mom, are you on 610? Get on 610 because that's a loop. It's gonna take you anywhere in Houston. You can find anywhere in Houston off of 610. So, but between my mom and brother and not having cell phones, they could tell me how to not be lost anymore. Because what happens is GPS, like if there's construction, it's construction all over Houston. The GPS, all of those things do not always catch that. It does not always catch the so if your method is like, oh, all this is blocked. Where am I gonna go now? If you have no idea what to do after that because you're so dependent upon this driving app, then you're gonna be out of luck. You're gonna have to figure something out. So that's why I was like, okay, my boys, children, they're gonna know before they start driving. I'm gonna make them pay attention to everything. At least they're gonna know how to get to their school, their home, all of the places that we go to on a regular basis. And because if that app is not working, they can still find their way. And it definitely helped. It definitely helped. Because they don't have those issues, and they don't depend on, because John Anthony, he will purposely not use. He would purposely, like, I'm gonna see if I can get there without using it, or if he'll turn it off. Like if I know the rest of the way, because sometimes even when we know, we
We'll
still
have it
keep
on.
it on.
I caught myself, yeah.
Yes, he'll turn it. He's like, okay, I know the rest of the way. I'm cutting it off. And I feel like we're moving backwards with with everything. That we're gonna get to a point where we're gonna be dependent upon just our knowledge and critical thinking, like you said. And there's so many people who don't have that. They're so dependent upon their phones. They don't, like, one of my mentees, she got arrested, and she called me and she was like, your phone number was the only one I remembered.
Wow.
Because it was such an easy phone number. She's like, can you please tell me my mom's number? She didn't know her mom's number. She couldn't remember it because she's like, my phone died. I got arrested. Can you call my mom for me? Your phone number was the only one I remembered. What if you don't remember any phone numbers?
Mm-hmm. I've been there. You stay there.
When I was growing up, we had the little phone books, but I knew the daycare address and phone number. I knew like multiple phone numbers and addresses just up here, but that part of our brain is not being utilized anymore. The memory part. It's like people don't remember stuff like they should.
And them dementia numbers is going up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You're not using your mind anymore.
Something that, like, to piggyback on, like Shelby was talking about, the accumulation of abdicating or just passing away your responsibilities, it's this story that someone used to tell me in like my first year of college about a frog, like the frog in the boiling water. So you got one frog, let's say you boil the water. It's hot, it's bubbles put in. You put a frog directly in it, the frog is going to jump out.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put the water in there, the stove is not on, then you put the frog in there, the frog is sitting there. Then you incrementally increase the temperature. Then you do it some more, then some more. And then the frog never jumps out because it get accustomed to the temperature increase, or they get accustomed to accumulation of the effect or the consequences that it's ignoring because it can't even see because it's a sequential, or it's like coming little by little by little.
Mm-hmm.
The frog dies. It get cooked.
That's so sad.
But that's like with the young folks saying, "Oh man, we cook." Like that's what that's just literally what's happening as a civilization, as a society, as humanity, of abdicating all of this responsibility. But I remember growing up, I used to always think that if we just invested, like we spend all this money to invest in all these other programs, used to think like, if we just invest in education, that's the root to everything, that would make all these other human problems like go away. Mm-hmm. If we just invest in education.
But it's by design.
100%. Because I was reading another John Taylor Gatto book. And if you're someone that's like interested interested in education, I would recommend reading some of his books because he was one of the guys who pushed homeschooling, because prior to 1990, homeschooling actually was like illegal. That's what we learned from at least that's what one of the ladies who pushed it forward at the homeschool event taught us. And she was like, I've been trying to do it since the 60s and 70s, but they were like doing the trees and things. And so anyway, he was talking about, what was the point? I went too deep.
You were talking about John Taylor Gatto. You were reading a book. He was pushing homeschooling.
It was something.
What?
What was the last thing you said? Whatever.
I was talking about
it's a system. It's set up.
Oh, okay, yeah. The system is set up. So pretty much he was bringing up the point that, a lot of people like, oh man, my kids not getting the education. My kids are not, they're graduating. I remember working in Fort Bend for some time, Fort Bend County here in Houston. And the graduation rate, I'm not going to put them on blast, but a specific high school for the African Americans, I remember the graduation rate was 86%. That seemed like, okay, that's phenomenal. Like for the Asian community, it was 90%. But the illiteracy rate, so them not being able to read, 7 out of 10 of those kids couldn't read because they have to print out, they have to give a yearly report card. Mm-hmm. So you're telling me you're passing 8 or 9 out of 10 of the kids or the children, but 7 out of 10 of them can't read. And so John Taylor Gatto was bringing it up in a book called They're Dumbing Us Down. He was bringing forth the point that the system is actually not broken. It was designed that way. So people think, oh, the system is broken, the education system is broken. Actually, no, it's not. If it was designed
doing exactly what they wanted to do,
right? So it's actually working. It's corrected. It's working efficiently. It's doing what it's supposed to do.
My mom, one of my mom's jobs was teaching adults how to read, and in her class, they all had high school diplomas, and she would ask them like, "How did y'all get by?" And she said, and they were like, "In the grocery store, everything is color coded."
Whoa.
They memorize prices and they memorize the colors.
Hold on, let's let that sink in real quick to the listeners. Hold on.
Say it. I think I missed something. Say it again.
Okay, my mom was teaching adults how to read, but these adults had high school diplomas. They got through the school system without knowing how to read, and she asked them, "How do y'all survive? How do y'all get by without knowing how to read?" Mm-hmm. And they told her like, street signs, the shapes mean something. Mm-hmm. And at the grocery store, everything is color coded. If it's diet, it's a certain color. If the twisty ties on the bread, the colors tells you how old the bread is.
Oh.
If you look at the bread, the twisty ties are different colors. But if you read, you don't even know about that. Yep. Like Jiffy peanut butter, one top could be blue, one top could be red. You reading it, but
it's crunchy or creamy.
Crunchy or creamy. Right. Yes.
I didn't even notice that.
The colors, everything is color coded, and they memorize prices. They memorize colors. They memorize prices, and so they get through life with their memory. They have the best memories.
It's so funny because in high school, I had a best friend, and her dad did so much. Like, her dad basically had a lawn care company. He did some type of in-house renovation stuff. She even
I can only see your eyes.
she even they had a cleaning contract, so they go clean like corporate buildings at night and stuff like that. And they were middle class, right? He had his wife could read, but he owned like multiple cars, and he just worked really, really hard. And so one day, like, he was a kind of not a silent guy, but he's an old school guy. Like, he didn't really talk much, but when he did talk, it was always funny. He was a smooth dude. He was an attractive guy, light skinned guy with the little hazel eyes. So every time He said every time, yeah, every time he would come pick her up from basketball practice, we played basketball together. All the high school girls be like, "That's your dad? That's why you didn't tell us your dad fine?" Like, "Hey, daddy." So they would just be talking crazy to him. He'd just be soaking it up, like, yeah, yeah. And so he'd come pick up his daughter. So he was that type of guy. He was a cool cat, basically. But one day we was in the house, he started trusting me more, and he realized like, oh, she's like my family. He started treating me like his daughter, and he had some mail, and he was like, hey, because this is kind of like what old people don't do. You don't open their mail, right? You don't read through their mail,
No.
right? That's just like their privacy thing. So he gave me the mail, and he said, open that. So I'm a little like, you sure? And he was like, I looked at it, and it said his name, David, and I was like, And he's like, no, open it. So I was like, and I'm always the type of person who's very observant of like why someone wants me to do something. So I'm immediately thinking, why won't he just wait till one of his daughters get home and have them open the mail? And that's their family stuff. So I do it anyways. And he's like, no, go ahead, open it. And I open it. He said, read that to me. So I'm like, okay. So he said, what does that say? So I do it. And it's a little weird to me. It's like, that's weird. And then I read it, and that's it. I give it to him. He said, okay. And then that was it. I leave, but I was like, that bothered me because I was like, why did he have me do that? Like, maybe that's his way of bonding with me. Like, we got closer now because I know how old people are with their mail. And I was like, what if there was a bill? Like a bill like you owe, like your credit card is, that could be embarrassing. So I was like, it wasn't anything like that. So I was just like, I'm going to just wait till to Jerio, that was her name, gets home. So she gets home, and I'm like, something weird happened today. And she's like, what? I was like, your dad told me to open his mail. She was like, okay. And I was like, he told me to read it. And she's like, And I was like, why? She's like, oh, no, he probably just wants you. I was like, no, that don't make sense. Like, why? So I kept pressing it. And then she finally said, look, you can't tell anybody, but he can't read. I said, your dad can't read? And I'm like, how does he know how to get places? Immediately, that's what I said. I was like, he don't ever use a GPS. That's something I noticed about him, too. I'm like, because he can't read it.
When I had talked to you.
No, that's before. This is like in the early 2000s. I don't think it was talking at this time, but he don't use the GPS. And you have to type it in, though. So you have to know how to.
Ah, yep.
So that's embarrassing. He's not going to fumble around trying to figure out how to type in something he can't even do.
Westheimer.
Yeah, how do you even spell Westheimer? Like, he's not going to embarrass himself. She's like, but you probably was the only one there, right? And I was like, yeah. And he really wanted to know what that said. And he trusts you enough now to like just read it. Then I was like, why he can't read? I never had met anybody illiterate. Like, I've heard of it, but I never met anybody. And she's like, he's operating illiterate. Like, I was like, how does he survive? I started asking all these questions. She was like, he has a great memory. Like, the sign stop, instead of reading stop, it's red. So he knows that means stop. Like, he remembers, he compensates.
Yeah, they use colors and shapes.
And she's like, he goes to reading class with adults. And I was like, he does. And she's like, yeah, that's why he goes this place on Thursday.
That's what a toddler does. Use shapes and colors.
He's still at that level.
Wow.
So I was like, how is he able to build what he's able to build? She said, because one, but one thing he was good in, relationships. He had so many relationships. He compensated because he can't read. So he became like a very people person.
He knew how to delegate.
Yep. And he knew how to get things from people, but he just couldn't read. And I thought about it. I said, wow, if he could be able to read, he'd be a multimillionaire. Because the capacity he had with just relationships alone. If he could read the contracts, if he could do all that without having to trust somebody to read the contracts, to do business, because that's what his wife did. His wife, the reason why they were able to produce all they were able to produce is not his wife was the brain.
She was his eyes.
But how many people do you know that they don't have a relationship? They're just illiterate. So they don't have someone who can help them. Like, if he was single, his life would have been totally different. He wouldn't have that money he has. He wouldn't have the cars he has, because the things he wanted to do, he could tell her the ideas and she could say, okay, this is what we need to do, David. He's going to go do it though, but he can't read. But he has someone he could trust that would know, like, okay, this is my right-hand partner, because they were business partners in every deal that I talked about. So just imagine the amount of, like, he goes back to the Frederick Douglass thing that was Kyle talking about earlier, about how he realized that they fought so hard, beat him, was, doing atrocious things to him just to make sure he doesn't read. But they're the ones who built a lot of the country, the labor. They did the hard work. So a lot of people say, well, it's okay, I can't read. They'll probably have the objection like, well, we get along just fine. I figure things out just fine. My father can read. My grandpa can read. Look at what they did. They did more.
Fantasia became America,
I can't read. I can read. But now
Shelby can read, y'all.
Yeah. I'm working on it. So now people think you don't have to know how to read. That's like I'm hearing from the culture, like it's floating in the ether.
Or they're thinking that if you just sound out the words,
that's
you're reading.
If I can say the words, I'm reading, right? No.
And let me tell you this, what they have now in schools is it's called text to speech. Mm-hmm. So if you qualify with a learning disability, if we have the meetings, the ARD meetings, where the kids can have accommodations and modifications to help them be better. One of the biggest ones that I noticed when I was at the elementary campus was whether they were 504. 504 means you have like a medical disability, like ADHD, asthma, something like that. Those kids also can qualify for some type of learning accommodation. If you are RTI, that means you are in a, you're tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. They're trying to figure out if there's some red flags. Like this kid has some gaps or let's try to figure this out. If we do these things, maybe that'll help them. But if they get to tier 3, then they are recommended for special education. Okay. And then they're recommended for testing. Let's figure out what learning disability they have. But here's the thing that I'm like, all of these kids were starting to qualify or get the accommodation where they can speak it and it writes it for them, or it's read to them. So it's text to speech and speech to text, which they call it like an oral accommodation. And the kids are being able to take assessments and do all of these things without knowing how to read. So that's one of the ways, because they have that accommodation. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I'm like, is that good data? I
really don't know how to read.
And we got to get all these headphones because, and I'm just like, why do we have so many kids on this campus that need the headphones? Because it's being read to them.
So I'm crippling you.
Could you imagine actually now that, because all the AI stuff that's coming out and the things that people are building, I've seen everything from a pen that you can literally highlight over and it'll read out loud in a different language to glasses that you can answer the phone on. But okay, imagine that getting to the point where all you have to do is put these glasses on. The glasses will have a camera on there that can read the book that you have in front of you, and it'll just say it to you in your head.
So I'm just dumbing myself down. Audible book.
I could be like, I read 10 books and I just listen to them.
It. Yeah, exactly. It's not the same.
Why is it not the same? What's the difference between an Audible book and actually visually reading a book?
Because you don't have to know how to read to listen to Audible.
Plain and simple.
There's also this, like, we could go deeper, but
message.
Hit me up on Shelby Hill the Great on Instagram if you want to go deeper. So it is Shelby Hill the Great, spelled correctly.
Yeah, but
no slang. No slang. Not the Great.
THE.
Yeah.
Before we go though, because we ran out of time very quickly, if I did it again, I'm noticing it now that we brought it up before we started talking. If you are a parent, period, and do not listen to EQOF, this should be your intro to EQOF. This is like the level 1. It's called a Nation at Risk. I learned about this. I don't remember what podcast I was listening to.
You should say what EQOF stands for.
Every question answer for everyone. However, that is hard to digest if you don't have Technotutor already.
Fact.
So this is why I would start here, of course, and then this will lead you into, talking with one of us. A Nation at Risk, this was back in 1983, and this was a report to the nation and the Secretary of Education, United States Department of Education, by the National Commission on Excellence in Education. So they wrote this entire report about where we're at in education in America. And This thing has so much in here. I wish I could read through this whole thing because I would love doing that. However, everybody would fall asleep. It wouldn't do anything. But I want to read this one part because it pertains to literally everything we were just talking about. And this guy right here. Okay, so it's got a few topics in here. This one is labeled the risk. I just skipped ahead a little bit. There's missing context. I'm going to do the best I can. But this is right here just states, the people of the United States need to know that individuals in our society who do not possess the level of skill, literacy, and training essential to this new era will be effectively disenfranchised. If you want to look that up and explain what that means, that'd be awesome. Not simply from the material rewards that accompany competent performance, but also from the chance to participate fully in our national life. For our country to function, citizens must be able to reach some common understandings on complex issues, often on short notice and on the basis of conflicting or incomplete evidence. This is so well put that just go read it. I believe I think you can just do a quick download or a quick Google search, "A Nation at Risk" on Google, and you can download the PDF and read it from there.
AI overview. Disenfranchised. Disenfranchised describes people deprived of rights, privileges, or power, mostly commonly the legal right to vote.
Say it again.
Disenfranchised, to deprive a person of the rights of citizenship, especially the right to vote. Let me read this other definition. People deprived of rights, privileges, or power, most commonly the legal right to vote.
So that could even tie back into the first story that you talked about with, what was his name?
Frederick Douglass.
Yeah.
You know, it's so
I'm actually
interesting.
Did you know who Frederick Douglass was?
No,
What-
I did
what's
not.
the-
So let me
What's-
get some context.
What's the book again?
What book?
The book with Frederick Douglass?
The Narrative of Frederick Douglass.
You need to say who he is in history.
Oh, we did. You weren't here. Wait, was she here?
Yeah, she was here when I started talking about Frederick Douglass.
Oh.
So
He didn't say who he was in history.
yeah,
He just talked
so-
about his book.
Yeah,
But I already know who Frederick Douglass is before he mentioned his name.
but just
I
for the
gotcha.
listeners.
I got you.
So pretty much Frederick Douglass was a fame. I don't know if famous is the best word to describe it, but pretty much.
On his historical figure.
There we go. Different generation. Okay, so historical figure, African American male that was enslaved. He was a slave, and pretty much he learned how to read, write. You know, part of it was that slave master taught him, the wife, but also part of it, he started to take bread and go to other, what he was saying, white people that could read, but they didn't have any food, and he would give them food for them to teach them how to read. And then he would create classes of other black people who could not read, and he had classrooms, and back then you would get killed if you knew how to read.
Right.
And so progressively he became some people, what is it?
Abolitionist.
Thank you. Abolitionist.
Abolitionist.
Abolitionist. Abolitionist.
Me?
Which is like, he made it a mission to, continue to educate himself, educate other black people, but also to help he was a big point of helping free slaves, because he had the vocabulary to be able to describe to, other people, but also to whites who can read and see like really what's going on. Because to other people who cannot read, they can just paint the narrative and say what it one way, but the person can't read. So you can't read this newspaper. You don't know what's going on. So Frederick Douglass wrote a lot of books, but the narrative of Frederick Douglass, I can say first off, what even made me want to read it is because when you do more process and techno-tutor, or when you increase your processing ability or it increases curiosity. So because my curiosity increased, and this is going to sound so ignorant, but literally like this was the thought that was in my mind. What sparked me to read the narrative of the Frederick Douglass, I was like, what made this nigga want to read? like real talk. That really, I'm like, this nigga was willing to die to read. And here we are in civilization
and don't even care about
don't
reading.
want to read.
Care nothing about it.
We don't understand it. We don't understand the power.
Yeah, I didn't realize how bad it was till I wrote a book, and so many people was like, "I'll buy your book, but I don't really read I don't really read." And then I was like, "Do you do Audible?" Like, "Oh yeah, sometimes." But I ran across so many people that would just buy my book for support, but they weren't gonna read it, or you just realize how many people just don't read anymore. Like they shut down a lot of libraries and a lot of schools.
Oh yeah.
Like, and a lot of librarians, like you had to have a master's degree to be a librarian, and you get paid on an administrative level to be a librarian. Oh. Yes, you got to have mad education to be a librarian. It's a lot.
That means a lot.
And they were getting rid of those jobs, and it was just like a library aide. Like a certified teacher can get paid from 60 to 80, 90,000, depending on how much income, how much education they have, and how many years of service. But a paraprofessional or an aide, it's like 20.
I was
30.
getting paid $16 an hour in college as a library aide.
So it's a huge difference between a paraprofessional or an aide that works in a school versus a person that is certified in something, certified teacher, a certified like the librarians. But you had to have a master's degree to be a librarian in schools.
That's wild.
Yes.
I want to say something.
Taken away from it.
Real quick to like wrap it up, because I know we're going to come to the end, is that a lot of people who are going to listen to this, don't confuse reading with what we're saying is like, you need to read more books or just, you know how to read. That's the power. Like most people think the definition of reading is I can read a book. I can read things. And it's like, okay, that's great to have. But we live in a system that I don't have to know really how to read at the highest level because we don't literally understand what reading is. What we've been taught, the definition of reading, actually isn't truly what reading really is. A lot of times people don't understand when you have a very high vocabulary in something, you can create a lot of money. You can create a lot of success. And what Kyla was reading earlier, disenfranchised, it did say not having the ability to vote. But if you really look at what they were really saying is that you don't have power. And who doesn't have the ability to vote are the slaves. So the people who have the political power, the people who are making the laws, the people who are in the places that are affecting your everyday life on every level, the people who even created the job system that you wake up on Monday and you hate your life, the ones that created the money system, those were people just like us. But the difference is their ability to process information and apply it is at a very high level. There's people who control this planet. There's elites, there's family groups that you don't even know the names of, but let's say you did, you wouldn't even be able to handle the jobs that they have. I know we like to blame the elite, but just think about the power of being able to process information so high that you can control a population of how many people? 8 billion, 10 billion?
I don't know the number.
Let's say
8 billion.
But think about that ability to understand reality. And I'm not saying that they're right or they're doing the best thing for us, but we think the ability to read, we're still on a first grade elementary level of what reading is. They think, oh, we'll just read more books.
Yeah.
These
At
people,
least the majority.
It's phonics.
Yeah, the majority.
They
don't understand what it actually, how words and your ability to apply what you learn on a high level, what is programmed in you from childhood to now. What does that actually do if you knew what that meant, like actually how to read? And the people who control the planet, the people who run the systems that we may hate or like, whatever your opinion is or whatever you think about how things are going, they actually understand why reading is so important. That is why the 1700s, the 1800s, they wanted to kill a man because they did not want to have him read, because they knew if he actually understood what reading really was, not what you get taught in school, then he would become powerful and he would become a threat. And that's exactly why the education system is working. It's dumbing us down on purpose because our power lies in the words that we know, because that's what creates our reality. And if you guys want to know more about that, that's why we're talking about this, but we don't have a lot of time. So yeah, we'd have to You have
I
to
remember
reach
that
out.
saying the other
You have to
that
reach out.
They used there was a saying, if you want to hide something from a Negro, put it in a book.
And that goes for any culture. But that's just,
That was the
Negro.
saying back then.
Yeah, but it really is the world we live in. That is the issue. We really don't understand. And that's why we're here talking about this, because we're literally understanding and changing it for ourselves. So we're getting to see the power that's becoming within us, learning how to read, but not in the way that school teaches us. So that would be a whole nother conversation that we'd have to have. If anybody's interested one-on-one to reach out, we'd definitely love to have a convo.
Plenty to come. Very well said. Awesome.
One ain't enough.